Hi, my name is Dr. Raymond, and I'm really excited to be here with you today for this live learning for Gen 499. So what we're going to do today is we are going to go over 211. We're going to talk about two case methods. One is a good case method that you can use, and the other is not so good. We're going to talk about sustainability planning, the 5W1H, crafting a problem statement, and then we're going to go over the Q&A. I'm going to ask that you hold on to your questions until we get to the very end. Unless you want to put them in the chat, we have people in the chat that are going to answer your questions, but rather than coming off and talking live or interrupting the live learning, I'm going to ask that you hold your questions until we get to the very end. 211 is a toll-free number that can give you information about almost anything that you're looking for. That being after-school programs, job readiness, educational services, transportation, mental health services, human services, housing, employment, and support groups, and also childcare. 211 is a toll-free number. You just dial it from your cell phone, or you can text your zip code to 898211, and they will give you a number or people that you can talk to secure help. Why is this important to you in this class? Because if you're having a hard time finding somebody to interview, try calling 211. Many times they are able to link you up with people that are willing to talk with you and help go through your interview process. Really helpful. So now we're going to start off with cases. We're going to deal with two. Rather than studying the average performance, when you look at the success case method and analyze the best and the worst cases, you can learn what works well and what you should probably avoid. In these two methods, you have one, the worst case method, which would be Children's Intervention Services, and then you have the best case method, which would be Clean Water Kenya. As we go through this, we're going to talk about sustainability planning. SUSTAIN, supporting your intervention long term. And when we look at the sustainability method, we're talking about the scope management, the use of existing resources, any stakeholders that could be available, and target marketing. Moving on, we will talk about the audit trail, and then we will imagine what could be for ROI, or return on investment, forecasting. And then we will also look at the novelty of the project. The worst case method, Children's Intervention Services. Here, as we think about the S, or the scope case method, CIS was historically an organization that served children. Fortunately, they were awarded a $350,000 grant to provide services to the entire community with a focus on adult programming. Here's the first problem. They historically worked with children. Now they are being tasked to work with adults. Unfortunately, they had no infrastructure and no experience for programming with adults. They used existing resources. As you can see in the picture, everything here is based on a child's program. They were designed for children. The space, materials, programming, nothing was tailored to work with adults. Unfortunately, the grant did not allow for expenses to upgrade facilities to accommodate an adult programming. So think about it. You're in this adult programming, and this is what you have to look forward to, working in a child's space. It doesn't say very much for the programming. Next are the stakeholders. The board of CIS was historically representatives from agencies that served children. This is another issue because while they were trained to work with kids. None of them had experience teaching adults. Here, they didn't take the time to identify key stakeholders for conducting these programs for adults. Their target marketing. The target marketing, too, existed for families of young children. A new marketing plan and branding strategy needed to be developed to appeal to adults. Unfortunately, because of finances, time constraints, and the lack of resources, they could not build a marketing plan that reached the adult population. Audit trail. Unfortunately, CIS never kept records of who attended these services they offered. Receipts weren't kept for purchases. No portfolios of work were kept showing what activities that participants had completed. And if you know anything about keeping records and getting grants, you can't have one without having the other. Continued grant funding hinged on successful audits. Unfortunately, CIS didn't have that. Imagining what could be. Here, they needed to be able to explain the potential benefits of the intervention to secure buy-in from their stakeholders. They couldn't do that. They needed to develop a new vision and a new mission that included serving adults. Again, with the lack of funding and resources, this was not possible. Therefore, CIS could not convey the potential benefits of participating in their programmings because they had no experience in adult programming. This was not good for their ROI. Novelty. They needed to be able to showcase why the intervention was unique and impactful. Because of everything that we've already talked about, they could not differentiate their services from similar ones that were already being offered. This led people not to really want to take on what they had to offer because there were other companies with much more experience. Now we're going to apply this same sustain format to the best case scenario. Let's have a look at Kenya Clean Water. Meet Ken Clark. He's a Navy veteran, a civilian contractor in Iraq. He's a truck driver and the founder of Clean Water Kenya.
While in Iraq, I witnessed a lot of devastation and people like these 3 children standing outside of their hut in extreme poverty. I decided then and there, if I ever had the opportunity to try to meet the needs of people in extreme poverty, then that's what I would want to do with the rest of my life.
Now let's have a look at how we define the problem using the what, who, when, where, why, and how.
I began working with 2 doctors in 2 different clinics in Kenya within the Rift Valley, a Dr. Maru and a Dr. Yusuf, one Christian, one Muslim. And after speaking with both of them, I realized how much needed water filtration and purification was throughout the Rift Valley. The majority of the diseases that the Maasai and the Kampa suffer from are waterborne. And as you can see from this particular photo, this is a young shepherd boy, a Maasai, and you can see that he's drinking from a watering hole. And we know what happens in a watering hole. Animals drink from it, they wade into it to get cool, they make a deposit, and then along come thirsty humans, and the humans make a withdrawal. And that's simply how these diseases are transmitted through the water.
Using existing resources. Ken used clay pots that were manufactured locally in Kenya. They were made of clay, sand, and sawdust. They were low-fired, so they were porous. They were treated with a chemical solution to help facilitate water filtration. This was the essence of using resources that were already in Kenya.
The individuals in this photo represent the three groups of stakeholders. Myself, representative of Clean Water Kenya here in the United States. The gentleman to my left, a Maasai elder representing the Maasai population throughout the Rift Valley. And to my right, Jackson Kanga. He is our Director of Operations in Kenya, and he is our man on the ground that gets things done. In the fall of 2014, I traveled to the Great Rift Valley of Kenya, and after speaking with the two aforementioned doctors, I came away, after speaking with my wife as well, about starting a test plot of roughly 10 small villages. Judy and I returned in the spring of 2015, set up the test plot of 10 small villages. Each village had one filter, and then we came back in 6 months to see what the results were. And we found to our amazement that the results were outstanding. Cholera was no longer a disease that they worried about. Most of the intestinal diseases, such as dysentery and diarrhea, Giardia, E. coli, were almost non-existent. And in the original test plot of 10, in the spring, almost every child, and there had to be 30 at least in these 10 villages, had upper respiratory problems. When we returned in the fall of 2015, only one had an upper respiratory problem, and none of them had intestinal problems. And where we work in Kenya comprises roughly 500 square miles, which is twice the size of Tucson, Arizona, in which the University of Arizona lies. We work in 16 different areas within the Rift Valley at this time, and we service approximately 100,000 people on a daily basis with clean water. The Great Rift Valley in Kenya comprises 160,000 square miles, so you can see we have a lot of work yet to do. As an aside, I'd like you to know as well, after Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico, we did some disaster work down there, and we brought 442 filters to 5 different towns in the north of Puerto Rico and the east, the most hard-hit areas. The work is extremely rewarding, but as I just said, there's a lot more to do. This photo shows why it's so important to clean the diseases out of the dirty water. Diseases such as typhoid, cholera, amoebic dysentery, salmonella, E. coli, botulism, Giardia, and others. 2 out of every 7 children in Maasai land will never see their first birthday due to the effects of drinking dirty water. Clean water equals freedom to the rural populations of Kenya. A child that is healthy will be able to attend a local school. A child that is not healthy is not allowed simply because that disease will run rampant throughout that school system, because there are no immunizations for them like there are for us throughout our childhood. When a child is free to attend school, then the mother is free to contribute to the economy. The Maasai mostly work with beads, and their bead work is intricate and extremely beautiful. And most of the beadwork goes towards areas where tourism is great, mostly within the national parks or in museums. So clean water equals freedom to the Maasai and the Kampa people. Clean Water Kenya started as a simple idea. What I wanted to do, I wanted to clean water for people in Kenya. I'm not a person who's extremely well educated. I don't have a degree in business management or marketing. I'm just a simple truck driver that wanted to do something to help somebody else. And I think that's where good ideas start from. It starts with a germ, a seed, and it needs to be nourished. You never know where you're going to end up or what good things are going to happen to you when you put others ahead of yourself. One of the wonderful things that happened to Judy and I just a few months ago was our induction into the Maasai culture. We were afforded the honor to become members of the Maasai community, to actually become Maasai because of the almost 10 years of work that we've dedicated to the Maasai in bringing clean water throughout the Rift Valley.
Be the change that you want to see in the world. Now what I want to do is go over your coursework for the next 5 weeks or wherever you are in this program. Week 1, this is your problem statement. This is where you look at the what, who, when, where, why, and how. You'll do your introduction of yourself to your peers. You'll discuss a problem in your community or workplace. The assignment here is writing out the problem statement using the 5W1H method. This should be 1 page. I'm going to mention something multiple times throughout this part of the program. And what I want you all to do right now is to go into the chat and click blue drop-down box. In each assignment, there is a blue drop-down box where you should click so that you can see what the requirements of the assignment are. There are page requirements that you should adhere to. There are references, how many references you need for this assignment. These are things that we as professors are looking for from you. If an assignment asks for 1 page, please do not turn in 5 pages, 18 pages, 20 pages. We are on a time constraint and cannot read that many pages. So if it says 1 page of content, that is not including your title page or your reference page. It's just the content. It should only be 1 page. Week 2, lenses. In the first discussion forum, you will examine your problem. And something that I like to suggest is to always write your problem statement on your paper so that you are focused and organized when you're looking at what you want to solve. So you're going to examine your problem statement through cultural and theoretical lenses. The second discussion forum, you're going to create a 2 to 3 minute video introducing yourselves and the problem. You're not going to tell us like your hand movements, your gestures and all of that. You're going to tell us the who, what, when, where, why, how of the problem. For the assignment, you're going to apply the worldview to your problem, and you're going to look at biases. This should be 2 to 3 pages. Week 3. In the discussion, you're going to share 4 resources. You are going to look for resources to inform us and yourself of the problem. You're then going to interview someone with expertise about the selected problem. In this discussion, you're going to provide an overview of the interview that you conducted. You should ask 10 questions, as noted in the additional papers in the drop-down box, because it gives you a very well-rounded interview process. For week 3, there is no assignment due. Week 4 is finding a solution. Tailoring your message to your audience is what you're going to be working on in the first discussion. You're also going to look at how the lenses influence the problem. You're going to synthesize the results of your research. For the assignment, you will evaluate 2 possible solutions to the stated problem using the TerraRAC Institute's Innovation Ambition Continuum. What you see posted here, the model, that's going to help you filter down whether your solution 1 or solution 2 is best. And then you're going to write a 2 to 3 page paper based on the questions in the prompt. You're going to talk about in your discussion forums a solution action plan. What obstacles could you face? And what impact does this have on your personal agency? You will then create an infographic that tells the story about a problem. And this is really fun for us as professors to look at because now we get to see your creativity. Just make sure that you're looking at the prompts so that you know exactly what to fill in the boxes and that you use the graphics that you need to use for your infographic. Your final assignment for this class is the executive summary. If you have a question on formatting, always check with the professor. Typically, we're looking for double-spaced APA format. That means a title page and a reference page. Indent the first line of every paragraph. Don't use contractions. And because this is a student paper, you do not need a running head. But again, if you have questions, make sure that you ask your professor how he or she wants you to provide this information. And always use the blue drop-down box. If you have remaining questions, again, contact your instructor using the message box. And at the end of the day, be the change that you want to see in the world. And at this time, I will remind you to complete the quiz in the live learning session. This is in week 5. So regardless of what week you are completing this in, go to week 5. It's not even really a quiz. It asks you a couple of questions and you're done. My suggestion is to do it now so that you don't have to worry about it later in the class. And at this time, we'll open up the floor for any questions.